everybody, welcome to Return of the Retro, episode 27. I am Randark, and with me as always is Ervik. Say hi, Ervik.
Hi, Ervik.
We haven't done this since July, and it's now the end of February.
Shh, they wouldn't know. You just change the date when you upload it, man. They'll never know.
Oh, okay, good. No one ever heard any of this. Don't look at the man behind the curtain. All right. So what are we talking about this afternoon?
Well, it's today, but we're talking about Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Symphony of the Night. You know, there wasn't much to do with symphony in here.
No, I think it just means, like, shit that happens at night. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the cacophony of things that take place. I don't know, man. I'm stretching. I don't know what the title means.
So what have you been up to for the last 7 months of gaming?
Nothing much, just working a lot. We're doing this big firewall project, so I've been working like every Friday and Saturday night. Because if you're thinking about a career in network engineering, I highly recommend it, but you will work a lot of evenings and weekends because no one wants you touching their shit during the business day. So you'll work a lot of overtime.
Yeah, that's a thing I've noticed just working regular IT. I have a couple of racks that were installed backwards, and normally that's not a problem, but we decided we're going to put 208-volt power strips in them that only mount in the back of the rack. And the ones that are backwards now have to be completely turned around.
Which means you got to unrack literally everything and pull it out, turn a rack. Yep.
And can I do that during the workday? Fuck no.
Nope, that's a weekend job.
They're open on the weekends. That is a overnight job, I'm thinking, and I got 4 of them to do.
Woof.
Yeah, and they're not like they're near each other, so I can just do 2 in one night, of course. Anyway. So what else is going on? What have you been playing?
So, surprising literally no one, Neo, which is just, hey guys, you like Dark Souls? We put a Asian skin on it, but you still play as a white guy, so there's that. But it's Dark Souls. But Asian-y. But you still white.
So weird. This is the Great Wall or the Last Samurai in video game form?
Yeah, yes. I mean, the saving grace is it's very loosely based on a true story. He was, the guy you're playing, William Ackley, I think his last name is William something, was the first, like, white samurai. It was like a thing. But it is time to stop doing the wall, man. Just focus on an Asian dude. It's fine. Like, we'll all be fine. Every famous Asian person you've ever heard of is in this game as side characters, and you have to beat them all at what they're good at. So, like, your ninja trainer, Hanzo Hattori, when you, like, level up your ninja skills, he challenges you and you beat him. So you're, like, the best white dude at everything ever. Like, you've been doing this since you were born. I figured it out, like, 20 total minutes. Like, it's fine, dude. It's fine. But it's, the history is loosely based on real history. Obviously, it's full of demons and shit, so it's not actual. But it takes place after Oda Nobunaga, one of those famous warlords in Japanese history, dies, and his 2 disciples fight over his kingdom. So Japan is torn by war, and you're helping the one that the game decides is the good one, I guess. Okay. I don't know how they picked, I don't know. But you're defeating all these demons and things. The bad guy is also a white dude, like, controlling all of the Asian people and making them... not making them evil, but he's, like, helping them and making them more powerful. So, like, both the bad guy and the good guy are white dudes, and everyone else is Japanese. But it's literally just Dark Souls. It's faster Dark Souls, which some people may really enjoy. Like, there's no such thing as a shield. There are no shields. Neo, Dark Souls, faster, much faster than Dark Souls. It's by Team Ninja, who did the Ninja Gaiden reboots.
Oh, nice.
They're like biggest thing. So it plays actually like a weird hybrid between Ninja Gaiden and Dark Souls. There's like you can stealth and stuff, which you can sort of do in Dark Souls, but more in this. But the armor and weapons are pretty limited. There's only like 4 real weapon types, I think, maybe 5. There's spears, swords, double swords, Kurasagas, which are like the chain things with the sickle on the end. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's those. And X's, which is, I think that's pretty much it. And they're like, so if you use like one-handed swords, they call them one-handed, but you use them two-handed because you have nothing. There's no such thing as like an offhand. Like, you don't put anything over there. So it says like katana, one-handed sword, and then you wield it with 2 hands, which, you know, whatever.
A katana's never been a one-handed sword. That is terrible.
Yeah, I don't know, man. But the game is a lot of fun. Not quite as difficult as Dark Souls, close, but they're trying their best. But just by the nature of some of the mechanics they put in the game, like living weapons, which let you power up your weapon by killing. Like as you get souls, your weapon powers up, and eventually go into this like super mode, and you can pretty much wreck shit. And it doesn't last very long, but there's builds already that maximize how long it lasts and how fast it recharges. And you can recharge it with items in the game. Anything that grants souls, like there's in Dark Souls and this, there's this. They're called Amrita, but they're just souls. Anytime you use an item that gives you them, it charges it. So you can literally just stand in a corner while fighting a boss, dodge a few times, and power up your weapon over and over. I mean, if you do that, you have to farm these items because you run out of them pretty quick. I didn't do that, obviously. I played the game as intended, beat it. I'm still working on New Game Plus, but you can cheese through it, kind of, which is a little upsetting, but, you know, whatever. I'm not, like, judging my achievements next to somebody looking at them on PS4 like, no, you didn't earn that. Fuck. Guys. That's a weird thing to do.
It is, and there's people that do that, which is
I don't
you have
get
something
it,
better
man.
to do with your life.
If you want to turn on God mode, turn on God mode. Like I don't care. I don't want to do it because I want to. The challenge is why I'm playing this game. You know, I didn't play a Dark Souls game for the story. I don't tell you anything. I want a hard game, so I really like it. I highly recommend it if you like Dark Souls. Even if you don't like Dark Souls, especially if you like Bloodborne more than Dark Souls, which was the semi-offshoot that they did a while, the last game they did before Dark Souls 3. This plays a lot more like Bloodborne with the fast-paced combat. There is magic and there is ninjutsu, are the two like non-weapony things you can do. I didn't find either of them particularly useful. The weapon buffs from magic are pretty good. The ninjutsu seemed kind of pointless. You could poison your sword, which is good, and that was about it. I'm sure someone has broken it somewhere, but I tried both of them and just didn't find them useful. Yeah, I love the game. Love it.
That sounds pretty good. I'm not a Dark Souls guy. The game just pisses me off, and I decide I'm going to waste my time on something else. But
yeah, I understand. People that don't like Dark Souls, I get. Like, no, it can be frustrating, but that's something I enjoy is the overcoming and whatnot. So, but here we are. I also played recently. I've been playing Star Wars: The Old Republic. I've been just going back. They've released a couple expansions. They're actually really good. It's a shame the quality of the writing and the gameplay wasn't this good when it launched because the game would have done much better. The last two expansions are on fucking point. And I've just been playing through the story. I'm not raiding or anything like that. I did sub because they're doing this event. If you listen to this right as we air it, you'll probably still have a week or two left of 250% experience, which means you can go play through the story of any of the old classes and get to max level just doing story missions. You don't have to do anything else.
Oh, shit.
Which makes it, like, if you ever wanted to see the story of Star Wars Old Republic but didn't want to, like, fuck around with all the MMO parts, this is that time.
Do I need to know KOTOR before I play this?
No, they give you the backstory. If you play the Jedi Knight, it does tie in a little. And Revan does play a point, but they're going to tell you who he is. Like, it's not like you won't figure it out. If you've played them, it'll help. But if you haven't played them, you'll still get everything you need out of it.
Okay.
Even without the 250%, they did ramp up experience. So even if you're not doing that, if you just do what's called the planet story. So every planet has a story line that goes through it. If you play just those, without the experience buff, if you play just those and your class missions, you'll still get through it pretty quick. And you won't have to do any of the other stuff, which is still super fast. Like, the 250 actually makes it ridiculous. You'll be max level on, like, the 25th level planet. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, it's made for people who want to level up classes as alts and stuff, but you can play through just the story, experience all of it. It's actually a lot of fun. I wouldn't recommend it as an MMO just because, I don't know, man. I don't recommend MMOs anymore. I played WoW when Legion came out. It's fun. It just... MMOs don't hold me anymore, so I play for the story, and then I kind of move on. That's not a fault with the game. It's just me. I did the same with Elder Scrolls recently. They released a couple new patches, and I played through the story, got to the end game, and then I was like, all right, I'm done. And I moved on.
Yeah, and game was fun when you had the time you could invest into it.
Yeah, just, as adults, it's hard to find that kind of time commitment. Like, I can commit to raid, but committing the time to do all the stuff up to that, and then justify that time experience when I could be spending time with my wife or, studying a new cert for work or something, or generally doing damn near anything else, going on vacation or what. Like, yeah. I'm not saying you shouldn't play MMOs. I had some of the best 8 years of my life was in a raiding guild. I still talk to half of those people on like a daily or weekly basis. We're still great friends. I just can't justify the expenditure anymore of time. But you do you. The new WoW is like really fucking good, actually. This expansion is the best one they've done since probably Lich King.
That's cool. I haven't played
It's
that.
really good. Yeah, it's really good.
I picked up For Honor, which is the new game from Ubisoft. And I got it from Green Man Gaming, not realizing that my code was for Uplay, which kind of blows.
Womp womp.
I mean, I can still play it and everything. It's not a big deal. Just fuck Uplay. That is my current and constant stance on Uplay. Fuck it.
Uplay is horseshit, and every games like manufacturer needs to stop trying to be Steam. Steam already did it, guys.
Yeah,
get on fucking board.
I understand your big group there, Ubisoft. Your giant game corporation, but come on, that's bullshit.
Origin does the same thing. Like, guys, I just want to play Battlefield. I don't need your shit. Just put your stuff on Steam like everybody else. Then you don't have to invest in all this infrastructure, man. Saves you money. I'm looking out for you.
And Origin's even worse, because at least you can buy For Honor on Steam, and then it'll load up Uplay, and you can play it. You can't even buy EA's games there anymore.
Oh, no, yeah, you have to use Origin if you want to play anything related to EA, which is where I play SWTOR, which is why I'm grumpy about it.
But anyway, For Honor, it kind of mixes like the MOBA genre with like Dynasty Warriors and an elite fighting game like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat. It's really, really tough. I found out that I'm terrible at it, and I get frustrated, so I haven't really done a whole lot in it by myself because I get frustrated that I constantly lose. And I'm not really sure what I'm doing wrong. I'm trying to learn, but I'm just bad at it. I like it, but I'm bad at it. The story mode's good, though. I'm doing fine in that. It's the one-on-one battles I've been trying to do online that are just awful.
Is it one-on-one? Or I thought they were like 4-on-4 or whatever.
There's a whole bunch of different modes. So there's one-on-one and 2v2 battles. There's death matches. There's objective-based things that have soldiers in them that basically work like minions in MOBAs. And then there's the story mode, which is... We can do co-op, I guess. I haven't tried that yet. But that will at least give you experience with a bunch of different classes on the way through. And there's...
how
12?
Different? I was going to ask you, how different are the classes and factions?
So it doesn't matter what faction you pick, because you can play all the classes, which represent one of each for whatever faction you want to play.
So a brawler or whatever, I'm picking a name up. Brawler in each class or in each faction is basically the same thing.
No, they actually are a little different. There is like an all around in each class that's kind of similar, but they have different move sets. They use, most of them use different weapons. There's like a long range, that type of thing. But some of the long range is very fast, some of the long range is slow. The one guy I've been trying to play, I can't remember what he is, but he has a flail and a shield. And he plays different, extremely differently than anybody else because it's a flail and it's a shield. Some guys don't have shields, and it changes what your special moves are based on your class as well. So, like I have a move where I can block in all directions at once, and where most everyone else has to block either to the left, the right, or above. So it's just matchups are important, I guess, as far as the meta goes and stuff like that. But I don't know. I'm trying to just learn one class and get good at it, and I'm doing terribly at it.
Normally, that's what you should do, right?
Right.
Play a little bit to find the class you like, and then just play that class until you get good. Same. I forgot to mention it, but I played through Titanfall 2, which is sort of similar. There are classes, and you can actually change them on the fly during the game. But I don't know if you got Titanfall 2. It's actually amazing.
No, I heard it was really good. I was going to wait for it to be cheap at GameStop.
I liked the first one a fair amount, but the second one, they added a story mode. The first one didn't have. It was just multiplayer. The second one actually has a story mode, and it's pretty goddamn good, and the multiplayer is good. I actually think the multiplayer in one was a little better. They added more stuff you can do in the second one, but they also limited. So in the first one, you could choose your chassis and your weapon loadout. So you could pick like a scout with the biggest weapon, and it would change how you moved and stuff. Or you could pick the biggest one with the smallest weapon. It didn't make a lot of sense, but you can't do that in the new one. Your chassis locks your weapon, which is a little upsetting. But the game is it's easier to balance that way. So the game is better balanced, I feel. But it's really good. I highly recommend it when it goes on sale. The story mode alone is actually really, really good.
Yeah, I'll have to check that one out. Because I never got the first one either. So Yeah. I also bought a copy of Rocksmith because I'm finally going to use that guitar I got in 2001.
Oh, my bass is sitting in the corner, and I have not fucking played it since 2004, I think, I want to say.
I basically played mine once while we were in Bahrain together, and I hardly touched it after that until I got Rocksmith. Which, if you don't know, Rocksmith is basically Guitar Hero for a real guitar.
Yeah, which is pretty neat, by the way.
Is
Like, I'm really shocked that it didn't do better when it came out.
It got re-released recently on the better consoles, so maybe it was still $60 if you bought it with a cable. So maybe it'll do better now, but I think it's cool. I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna once I get around to deciding what my project's going to be, because I have a few going right now.
Does it support bass, by the way?
Yes, it does.
Oh, I might have to
It
get
also
a copy.
supports acoustic guitars if you have a microphone.
I've got an acoustic bass. It doesn't have or an acoustic guitar. It doesn't have a microphone built in. No pickup,
I think
anyway.
you can just get like a USB mic, maybe even your Yeti.
Just like pointed at it, basically.
Yeah.
I can see that. Maybe I'll try it. I mean, I'm more interested in the bass. I love my bass. I just have not. I got about as good as you can get with a bass, like without being like Flea. Like I was good enough that I could rock the D string all day, like dum, 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 dum. I could do that to like any rock song, which is pretty simple. And then I was like, well, this would take a lot more effort to get better at. Like this is good enough.
Well, that's better than I ever got. So,
Ooh, coughing.
as part of something I'll talk about later, I set up all my video game systems, and I decided I was going to start playing the Punisher again. I didn't get real far, but I played for about 20 minutes.
The PS2 Punisher?
I was playing on Xbox, but yes, that same version.
I never played that game.
Oh man, it's such a good representation of the Punisher.
That's it's such. It blows my mind. So I think you know this, but no, the listeners probably don't. Punisher is my favorite hero, anti-hero, whatever you want to call him. Like has always
Mine
been.
as well.
I love the Punisher, and every time they do a licensed property, it fucking sucks.
This is
Like,
good. I think you'd love this. This is.
I'll have to give it a whirl. This is a controversial opinion. The Punisher that was set in Tampa, I actually really like that movie.
I love that movie.
Everyone else hates it. They're like,
I
the
like
Punisher doesn't happen in Tampa. I'm like, doesn't matter where it happens.
I like the other one too. I liked both movies.
I
liked
didn't.
the
Well,
Tampa
there are
one more.
3. Don't forget that there's a Dolph Lundgren one.
That doesn't exist in my life.
I
He-Man
never.
is not the Punisher. Okay.
I never saw. I own that movie on Blu-ray. The He-Man, not the Punisher. I unironically love that He-Man movie. It's terrible.
They just released a Skeletor origin comic. It's a one-shot. I got to go find that.
That movie is so bad, but I love it. It came out right when I was like in an impressionable age, and I liked He-Man, but I was a little too old for the cartoon anymore. Like, you know what I mean? Like when you hit like that age, and like, well, I can't watch the cartoon, and they're like, here's a live action He-Man. I'm like, ooh, I can watch that, and no one will make fun of me. Then they did anyway because the movie sucked. But I just love that movie. It's great.
We actually got a question in the chat from a new guy who's just caught us up on the on Twitch for the first time. His name's Bleak Mountain 50, and he wants to know how we feel about the new Zelda game, Breath of the Wild. So we kind of were talking a little bit about the Switch beforehand. You want to give your impressions so far?
Yeah, I think the game looks really good. That being said, I got burned on the Wii U and the Wii. They just didn't release enough software to keep me interested, and both of them gathered dust. I actually have the limited Wind Waker Wii U, like with the scroll on the gamepad and everything, because I loved it. I played through that game, and then just never really did anything for me after that. So I'm gonna get the system and Breath of the Wild eventually, but I've got to wait until it either comes on sale. It comes at a price point that I'm comfortable with. I didn't get enough use out of my systems before, so I'm gonna hold off once they've got a library I'm comfortable with, or the price comes down a little. I'm definitely going to grab it. But the game looks pretty good. A very different departure for Zelda, but some of the biggest departures have been some of the best games. People, when the one I just said, Wind Waker, came out, people slammed the initial release when they saw the like cartoony graphics and the boat thing, and people just hated it. And then it ended up being one of the most beloved Zeldas of all time. Like, people love that game. It's amazing.
That's one of the few 3D ones that I've gotten far into. I've never beaten a 3D Zelda, so I love
that game. I beat it on both systems, the Wii U and the original. When I bought it and got the downloadable, and I'm like, I'm never going to play this. I immediately played through the whole game. Like, I forgot how good that game was. So I'm not worried about it being different. I think that it's, they've proven that they're worth the, the trust. Let them try something different. It may not pan out, but I'm more than willing to give them, enough leeway to try it out. And I will get it eventually, for sure.
I'm probably going to pick up Breath of the Wild for the Wii U. Probably a used version after it drops a little in price, because I'm not in a hurry to get it myself. I have no desire to get the Switch. The more I hear about it, the less I like it. It has 32 gig of space. That's not enough for some of the games that are coming out.
There are already games that are too big for the hard drive. I don't know, and this isn't necessarily Nintendo's fault. The damn handhelds are the same way. It's a Japanese thing. They expect you to go out and buy bigger hard drives. The Xbox was to a lesser extent the same when it came out with a 500 gig hard drive. Like it's not enough space, man. Especially if you require me to install every game I buy, that are 50 plus gigs a piece.
Yep, I'm having that problem on my Xbox One, and I don't want to have that on the system ever again. You need to give me a 4 terabyte drive minimum.
I bought an expansion drive for my Xbox One, which is, and it's, what's really dumb is my expansion drive is faster than the built-in hard drive.
That's really
it actually works better, like way better. I actually don't save anything to the inside hard drive anymore, which is silly, but neither here nor there. Yeah, I mean, it's weird. Like, you feel like you want to give enough space to install at least a handful of games, but I guess if your thought is, like, they're going to buy a hard drive anyway, why bother?
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. They were trying to keep the cost down because it doesn't come with the game at all. I don't know if you know that. There's 0 game bundled with this.
I saw that. That's also terrible. It's going to be $300. There's no game, and a controller is going to cost you another $90 for a full set of Joy-Cons?
The reason for that is, and they talked about it a little bit, but the reason for that is when the Wii U came out, it came out at $350 and tanked. So they think that the $300 price point is the sweet spot, basically. And if they had bundled literally anything else with it, it would have brought it to the $350. And they thought that would tank the system.
Software costs them nothing. That's bullshit.
I don't disagree. But then if the system with such a small hard drive comes with it full, you know what I mean? Like, if they ship you a system that's full, I don't know.
They're pushing this 1-2 switch, but no one's going to go out and spend $50 on 1-2 switch. That should have been bundled. That should have been their bundle game.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't. I don't know if you bought a handheld in a while. They don't even come with chargers anymore.
Yeah, I bought the new 3DS XL, and it was my second upgrade of my 3DS. I had an XL, and I had an original, so I didn't need another charging port. And I was already using an Energizer off-market thing to charge it anyway, because that ran off USB.
Yeah.
No, this one was more for car charging.
Gotcha.
Plugged in the wall.
Plug into I gotcha. USB charger. Yeah.
So I was using that anyway. So at the time, I didn't care. But if I was coming to a system, like the charging grip, that should be included. I don't care if it's $20 more. Include it.
Yeah.
Just bite the bullet on stuff like that, because you're just making a bad experience for your users.
It's also hard to judge Nintendo on stuff like that, for me anyway, because their primary goal is to sell them in Japan, and if people don't care there, then I guess it doesn't matter. It affects us for sure, but sometimes it's hard to read into a company whose we're not their primary market. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I just don't understand Nintendo right now.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, but the game looks amazing. To answer for
the game does look amazing. I'll give it that. I will probably never finish it because I'd never finished 3D Zeldas, but it does look good. Anyway,
the last Zelda is the only one I never finished. I got halfway through and got tired of wiggling my Wiimote. I hope that never comes back.
If it comes back, it needs to come back without motion controls.
I hate it so much. Yeah, if they ever release a version of that game without motion controls, I will play the shit out of it. But it's the only Zelda. Literally, I beat the second Zelda, Link's Adventure. Yeah, I beat that shit. It took months and reading a bunch of Wikipedias that tell you what to do, because that game doesn't tell you what to do. But I beat that, along with literally everything. Some of the Four Swords stuff, there's not really a story. You can't beat it or whatever. But like main Zelda entries, I beat every one except that one. And I only played it for an hour, and I hated it. The game was good. The controls were terrible.
So back to what I was playing. I also bought and played Rocket League and Vermintide. Rocket League is soccer with cars. It's really good.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun, especially for like a pick up and play. Like you got 20 minutes kind of thing. It's
exactly.
Amazing. Yeah.
And then Vermintide is Left 4 Dead, but with melee weapons in the Warhammer universe.
Yeah, it came in a Humble bundle that I forgot to, like, I literally marked my calendar to buy it when it started and forgot about it.
Good job, sir.
Yeah, I'm the worst. But I love, I know I've mentioned this before, Warhammer 40k is my shit. Like, I love Warhammer 40k. Like the mythos, the story, the gameplay. I used to play with the miniatures. The hobby got a little too expensive for me. It's still an amazing hobby. I just can't justify it. But 40k is some of the best. It's what Blizzard ripped off when they made StarCraft. It's Space Marines, like the whole. I mean, they also ripped off Warcraft
Aliens.
from Warhammer. Like,
Yeah.
they really screwed over the Warhammer guys. I feel bad for them. I mean, I love Blizzard, but they stuck it to the Warhammer guys pretty bad. If you don't know, the original Warcraft was supposed to be a licensed Warhammer game, and negotiations fell through, and Blizzard had already made a game, so they rebranded a lot of the stuff and changed it just enough to not be like a Warhammer game so they wouldn't get sued, and then released it.
Damn. That sucks.
That's why all the races are the same, the story's kind of the same, like, that's why.
I've also been playing some KOTOR. I rescued the Jedi, and she's a bitch, and I haven't really gone past that yet.
Did you install the upres models?
Yes.
I
did.
They're not default. Somebody else made them. Like, they're like a third party thing, but they look really good.
I might have, I might not have, but I am playing with Flawless Widescreen, which is a program that'll make it 1080p.
Okay, that's good.
So at least there's that.
Yeah, Jedi whose name escapes me, something Shan, but Steel Shan, maybe.
I just know her as Bastila.
Bastila Shan. That's
okay.
it. Bastila Shan. Which is relevant because one of her descendants is one of the main Jedi ladies from SWTOR. So, yeah, there you go. Satele Shan.
And then Marvel Heroes had a giant update where they updated every character. They updated a bunch of crap. I'm a little upset at some of the updates. I had collected like 6 pages of inventory of uniques because I could turn in 4 copies of one to get
a better version.
No, to get relics.
And
you can have up to 1,000 copies of a relic on a character. So I was trying to just build all those up. And I got some of them around 700-800, but I never got maxed out. And now, basically, they're vendor trash.
Woof.
Yeah, so I have all the... I could dump them into pets to get a bonus out of the pets, but that's only 8 at a time. And once I get the pet what he wants, it's like... Ugh.
Yeah, I like Marvel Heroes. It's a little too repetitive in the long run for me. It's the same problem I have with MMOs. Like, hey, go do this event like a bunch of times. Like, I'm gonna go play something different. Like, every time they come out with a big expansion, I'll play it for a bit, and then I'm like, okay, I'm done here.
So you added a couple more games to what you've been playing. What else you got?
Yeah, the new Civ, which I love, by the way. I played a lot of that.
Civ 6?
It's kind of fallen. Yes, I put 5, but I meant 6.
Okay.
It is a lot of fun. They've tweaked a lot of the problems from 5. Like, the diplomacy system was a little wonky and stuff, which they did in 5 eventually with patches, but all of that came over to 6. I actually really, really like it. And the game we played for this inspired me to go out and pick up the 3DS game Castlevania Lords of Shadow Mirror of Fate, which is a long fucking title.
Yeah, because it's Lord of Shadow has a few games under that title.
Yeah, because it's not just Castlevania. It's under the Lords of Shadow banner, which was a Xbox 360 game and I guess PS4? Probably, right? It wasn't system exclusive, I don't think. Anyway, those games are actually pretty good. The first one was better. But this is actually not bad. A little side game that takes place in the 3DS. It was a lot of fun. Makes pretty good use of the 3D feature, which I don't say very often because it induces nausea for me. But this one wasn't bad. And I played it on the new 3DS that I bought. I got the new Zelda one, the one that came out not long ago.
Nice.
Like a year ago. With the 3, it has all 3 of the buttons. There's analog sticks. I'm sorry, all 2 of the analog sticks. I forget.
Yeah,
it's got the little which was super handy. I don't know how I would have played that game without it because you use it for a lot of stuff. But I also played Pokemon Moon. I bought Sun and Moon. My wife played Sun. I played Moon. I lost interest like halfway through. The game seems really well made. just, I don't know, man. Maybe I've just played too many Pokemon games.
Yep.
I don't. Maybe that's what it is. Like I was like, yeah, this is fun, and then I just literally just stopped playing.
Every time I pick up Y, I'm like, oh, it's doing fine, it's good, and I move on immediately.
Yeah, I think I'm just done with Pokemon games. That's not to say there's anything wrong with Pokemon games. They're a ton of fun. My wife loves them still. All my friends still play them. It just kind of lost me somewhere along the way. And that's not, sometimes you fall out of love with a game. It happens.
Oh, I do have one more thing to tell you about games I've been playing. I've been replaying The Room, and I'm going to replay Room 2 because I've bought Room 3, and I want to make sure I understand the story.
Yeah, they're all good. Love those games.
So The Room 3 has been out, what, like 10 months now?
Close to a year, I think.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Someday I'll catch up, probably by the time 4 is out. But
I don't know what's going on
now.
with 4, and I love it. I love the series, and I hope to come out with 4. I haven't heard anything, but that doesn't mean it's not in the works.
So what else you got going on?
I think I mentioned it on here, but I was getting let go from my job. That changed. That kept me. I've been there now over 5 years. I love it. Love the whole thing. So that's good. Stability. And I've been weirdly into like making my house smart. So I've added some lights. I've added a Nest, and I've got them all programmed. I have a Logitech Harmony. So like when I tell my Alexa, like, "Hey Alexa, turn on my Xbox," it turns the lights off in the room, and then turns on the bias lights behind the TV, boots up the Xbox, boots up the AV system, turns it to the right input, and like everything's just ready to go. And God, we live in the future, and it's amazing.
You've gone a few more steps than I have. I have mine set to turn the lights on and off in the living room and the chandelier in the dining room. The dining room's also a dimmer, so that's nice. And then I have a CO2 and fire alarm attached to it. Or
Do you have is it one of the Nest ones, or is it a different one?
No, it's by Kitty.
Okay, they do good stuff. That's who's my fire alarms are currently through them. I actually want smart fire alarms because that seems like something you want to know about. I just haven't upgraded.
I don't know if I have mine set to actually tell me anything other than I have to check on it. Yeah. I gotta double check my settings on that.
I've got a few water sensors like in the laundry room and near the water heater, which are pretty neat. They haven't come in handy yet, but I tested them and they work. And I eventually want to get a smart outlet for my washer because I can set it so that if the washer smart plug determines, or the water sensor determines water, it'll shut off your washing machine, which seems pretty neat, right? Like,
yeah.
But I just don't have a smart plug for that. Same with the dryer. I will eventually put a smart well, you can't just put a regular receptacle there, obviously, but a drying receptacle.
I did try to put a energy meter on my dryer to tell me when it was running and when it wasn't, because the new washer and dryer we have doesn't beep loud enough to hear while we're watching a movie. So that didn't really work. I tried setting it up a bunch of different ways. It didn't really want to work. So I have an energy meter that's connected and does nothing right now. So I think what I'm going to do is grab a vibrating sensor.
So my dryer was supposed to, and I think all new dryers are supposed to do this. It's supposed to be able to set it to smart dry, and it stops drying once the clothes are dry. Has not worked since the day I bought it. It'll run forever, and I don't know.
That's just based on a moisture sensor that's in there.
Yeah, so. I don't know why. Like, and this is the second dryer I've had that has that feature that hasn't worked. So I don't know what about my house is wet or moist, as it were. But that feature has literally never worked. Yeah, moist is a gross word. The only word grosser than moist is juices. That word is disgusting. The other day I was at the Ren Fair because I'm a super nerd with a couple of my buddies, and we were doing something, and one of this it's a weird tangent. There's a pickle vendor who was lewd,
we have those at ours.
He was lewd and obnoxious, and one of the ladies was like tired of his shit. We'd gone by him like 4 times over the course of the day, and he kept yelling obscenities and stuff and like making weird jokes at her, and she was had enough. And she's like, I just want to throw outhouse juices on that guy. And I'm like, that's the grossest phrase anyone has ever said out loud. Outhouse juices is like cringe-inducing. Tell me that doesn't make your spine shiver. Like just hearing the phrase outhouse juices. Like that's, what does that even entail? What kind of juices? Ugh, so gross. So very gross.
I also have a new house. I moved while we were in between shows. That hasn't happened in 6 or 10 months, whatever it's been. Long time.
That's part of the reason, though, right? We had to all get set up.
Yes. Oh, man. So last time we were talking, my house was for sale. We hadn't had any bites. So then we immediately it was like 2 weeks later we had an offer on our house. And so we immediately had to go out and find one to buy. And then there was this whole big process of buying a house we went through and moving and the whole nightmare involved in all that. That my wife actually made pretty painless, and as far as I go, aside from...
Oh, she must be a saint, because I followed this escapade on Facebook, and apparently it was a shitstorm.
It was a shitstorm.
Like,
And my
dates
wife
were wrong,
absolutely is a
sizes
saint.
were wrong, like everything was wrong.
Oh, things were just terrible as far as everything was going. We finally got everything done, though, and after everything's set and done, 1 month after I've paid my first mortgage payment, my mortgage got sold, and I didn't change my automatic payment for it, so it went to the wrong company, and now I have to try to get that back.
Oh, they just give you your money back. Like, hey, I gave you money, give it back. They wouldn't just give it back?
I haven't called them yet. I just found out about it on Friday, so...
I feel like you should take care of that.
We found out on Friday to
All right.
the bank, you know.
How'd you find out? Did your other mortgage company call you and go, hey, you owe
where's
me
our
money?
Where's the money, bitch?
That's usually how you find out. Somebody
Right?
shows up who's like, where my... And if you're like me, I don't have another mortgage payment laying around. Like, what am I going to do? What am I going to pay you with?
Luckily, I do, but I just paid them the money I was going to have for the March payment that's coming up. And that's enough to hold them off until I can hopefully get the other money back. I don't want to have to go into my savings to make a mortgage payment.
Well, I don't have a huge savings, but my 401k is bitching. I can take the money, but if I take it out of there, then I got to pay taxes.
Only
So
if you don't put it back.
I live a dangerous life. I
You can-
don't
you
put
can
shit
take
in
l-
savings.
You can
I
take
put it
loans
all in-
out of
Yeah,
the
I suppose you
401k
can.
without taxes.
I live dangerously. Like, instead of saving money, I put all of it into my retirement. Like, I'm really banking on nothing going wrong until I retire. It's all in the 401 and the Roth IRA. Like, I know I'm supposed to keep savings. I just don't. I just like put it all in savings, baby. Or in future. Let's do this.
Oh, and I forgot to mention. So my project of not buying a video game ended after the end of the year.
Yeah.
And that went really well. So in that year, I got a new degree, a new house, a new car. My wife got a new car, and a new job.
Nice. I'm doing a little bit lesser version. I know I asked you about it a little.
Yeah.
I'm limiting. I can buy one game a month. Because normally I buy like 4 or 5. February, I didn't buy anything in January. February was Neo. And I don't know I'm buying next month, but I've given myself one game a month.
That's pretty
limit.
good. I think that'll work out fine for you.
I've got to get some certs. I'm falling a little behind. I got to some of my VA money expires this year that I didn't use, so I've got to go back and use that. So I don't know what I'm gonna do with it yet. I'm gonna get some kind of degree. I don't know what. I thought about law just because my brother does it, and they've got a pretty decent night school here. But that's 4 years, and I don't know if I want to commit to that. It's a whole thing. I'll figure it out.
I would be a good lawyer as far as the arguing part goes. It's the reading part that I'm extremely slow at, so I could never, ever do that.
Oh, I would. I actually help my brother pretty regular. Like, he'll send me shit like, "Hey, how do you interpret this?" Like, he and I think pretty similar, so I know I'd make a decent lawyer. I don't even want to practice. If I got my lawing degree for lawing, I would actually just use it as a retirement. Like, retire from my network because I love network engineering. I love my job. I would like, when I retire, be like, all right, now I can like do legal aid stuff and whatnot, which would be, I figure, like a good use of retirement. You still make decent money.
Yeah.
You work your own hours. So that's a thought. I don't know if I'm going to do it or not, but we'll see.
All right. So let's get back into gaming a bit. What do we got for a Kickstarter feature this week?
Hold on, I gotta find this. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, we talked about this. Mutant Football League. Somebody is bringing it back, baby. I don't know if you remember this. It was I want to say original Nintendo game, or was it Genesis?
I think it was Genesis. I think this and the
that
Hockey
sounds
League
right.
were
This
Genesis.
actually sounds right because Nintendo wouldn't have had this. You basically played football, except you could play with like a bunch of robots and mutants and like monsters, and actually kill each other. Like, a good play would result in like somebody dying, and you'd have to sub in another player rather than like being injured. Really beloved game back in the day. People really, really loved it. There's still like small leagues that play it, like
just like
regularly.
NHL '94. It's weird.
Yeah, exactly. It played a lot like NFL Blitz, if you remember the game.
Yeah, that's a great game.
With like over the top action, like ridiculous things. But it was pre that game, so it wasn't, they were stuck with Genesis level stuff. So still really good. And this one looks actually a lot like an updated NFL Blitz with monster skins and murder. So
Yeah,
I'm
it
on
looks
board.
awesome.
They
I'm
are
probably going to drop some money on it myself.
They've got about 8 days to go. It's already funded. They wanted like 60 grand. They got 110 so far. 2,500 ish backers. So it's going to happen. If you put your money on it, you know you're going to get it, which is always nice. And they've got like early access and a few other things that you will get if you jump on board. I recommend it. I love the original. I will probably also drop a few bucks on it. Yeah, it's a pretty good game. I recommend it.
So our next our first retro news story comes from where we usually get them, Retro Collect. They're a great blog. If you've never been up there, they're awesome. They keep track of everything. But there's an unofficial Metroid prequel called Rogue Dawn that's now out and playable on the NES, and it's a ROM hack of the original Metroid. But it looks really good, like really, really good.
I mean, I love the original Metroid. We played it. It's great.
Yeah, this was done by a 3-man team. And they've been working on it for over 2 years. And it really pushes the NES to its limits, kind of like Mario 3 did. So it almost feels 16-bit.
Okay, nice.
So, yeah.
Taking advantage of the, what do they call it, Mode 7 or whatever it is?
No, that was on the Super.
Yeah, right.
Not on
with the keyhole stuff, yes.
Yeah.
I remember now. Yeah.
But, yeah, cool stuff.
Excellent.
I added it to my Retro Collect today, or my Retro Arc today. And I will try that out.
Cool. So our next game is, if you remember the game Primal Rage, was a fighter set in, I believe, Genesis as well. Was mostly an arcade game that transitioned into a home. As most fighters were at the time, they were arcade staples that then transitioned to home releases. I think they also had a few ports to like the handheld and whatnot. It was super gory. Super gory. And then there was like everyone that was in the game was like dinosaurs and
gorillas,
cavemen and gorillas, and it was a really weird mishmash of fighters. It was a beloved game, never got a sequel. Well, apparently there was a sequel in the works no one ever heard about. Like, this is new.
They actually made 3 arcade cabinets, 3 boards for the arcade cabinets.
So it was just sitting in somebody's collection somewhere.
I know where it was sitting. I know who has it. I actually got to go see one.
Oh, did you? Nice.
Yeah, I went to... I had a business trip out to Chicago. So while I was there, I went to Galloping Ghost Arcade, which has over 500 machines, and you pay $15 to get in. And you can play all day. It's awesome. And they have a working Primal Rage 2 cabinet. It's really cool that you could even walk up to this thing and find one. They were offered $60,000 to sell it and said no.
Ooh, that'd be tough for me to turn down.
Right?
So it looks like sometime in 2010, the ROM was anonymously dumped online. Whoever found the original, or maybe the guy at that arcade was like, let's let everybody have it. Put out the MAME files, and now you can play it on a MAME cabinet. Do your business.
I'm going to have to
Get in
look
there.
into mine. I haven't gotten around to it yet.
It is playable right now. It's not a full game. No one's gone back and like added shit to it. It's literally what they finished when the game was canceled. So it's not like a patch. I mean, I'm sure someone will eventually go back and like make more fighters and shit for it, because that's just how the stuff works.
Yep, they always do.
Right now, at least, it's just the like handful of fighters, and I think 3 maps you said that exist.
I said 3 arcade boards.
3 cabinets.
The actual
gotcha, the actual
boards.
board.
Yeah,
Gotcha. Well, it was actually, reading the article, I don't know if you read the whole thing, but they said that one of the reasons it got canceled, it was part of the way because they were being bought up. Atari was being bought up by Midway at the time. Mm-hmm. But the other bit was it was running on Kojak, which was a Jaguar Guts, which everyone hates. Like, they're universally reviled as the worst arcade cabinet boards ever made. And they just didn't want to. And it wasn't up to snuff with other like fighters of the generation on other hardware. They just couldn't keep up. So they scrapped it. But now you can go play this apparently subpar fighter if your Primal Rage is your thing.
It's at least worth checking out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what we're doing here, right? Nostalgia. Get your nostalgia on, yo.
I have Primal Rage for the Genesis.
I think I have a copy
not a
laying
big
around
fan.
somewhere. I just don't like fighters in general, so it's hard for me to really get on board.
Our last news story is it's once again Doom playing on something insane. Not as insane as the Doom piano we had a few episodes back.
We had piano, and didn't we have ATM at one point, right?
We had ATM, yep.
ATM.
And a printer screen as well.
Yeah, right. A tiny printer screen.
But this is Doom on the TI-83 Plus. And if you go to Reddit/r/retro gaming /blah blah blah blah, you'll find it in there. We'll include a link in our show notes. But somebody put Doom on a TI-83 Plus calculator.
And the files exist. You can go download them. So if you still have a TI-83 and a GraphLink, was it called GraphLink cable?
I think so.
You can just download. I mean, you could also do it by hand, but I do not recommend.
Yeah, I've done that before for games. That took for me forever. I was in high school and had the time, though.
Especially this level of game. Like, this has to be like the whole hard drive on this thing. Runs like a full copy of Doom in the calculator. So you can download the files. They exist. You can go get them.
It's kind of shitty. It doesn't look great, but it is Doom on a calculator. So
it's TI-83, man. What do you want? It graphs lines.
All right, that'll bring us into our featured game of the 8-month period.
Of the year. At 8 months, it goes to year.
Oh, okay.
Featured game of the year.
All right, so next month when we're playing another game, hopefully.
Of 2016. This is the featured game of 2016.
Good point. We both finished it then.
That's true. I had to dig up notes. It's been so long since I played. Like, I beat it and got to like one pixel shy of the 200.6%, which is a stupid number, by the way.
Yeah, I don't
to fully complete
understand
the
that
game,
myself.
you have to explore 200.6% of the map, and I'm at 199.9. Like, I'm missing 0.6%, 7% somewhere.
Good job, sir.
Which is one square. It's literally one square of a map. And there are a couple squares you have to, not cheat per se, but like get creative to explore. And I'm sure it's one of those I'm missing, but it doesn't show up on the map because it's one of the weird ones. So I just have to like look up a list of like things people usually miss and go do it, and I probably won't do that.
So the game we're talking about is Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and it was developed and published by Konami on March 20th, 1997. It was released on the PS1. Is this our first PS1 game?
Might be.
I think it is.
I think so, yeah, I think it is.
So it got some pretty rave reviews, but before we get to that, it was directed by Toru Hagahara, who is also the producer, and this was Koji Igarashi, who's well known for Castlevania games at this point. It was his first Castlevania game.
And is universally considered the best, I think, still?
Yeah. I mean,
Pretty sure.
The NES Castlevania games are great, and he had nothing to do with those. But
Well, the second one was hot, stinky garbage, but 1 and 3
disagree.
were good. Well, you're wrong. 2 is bad.
2 is the one I grew up with that I like the most.
It's so bad. Nothing makes sense. Anyway, we're digressing. We'll talk about that in a different episode. I'll tell you how you were wrong.
We're going to have like a bad games episode. Maybe we'll do that for episode 30.
So bad.
So it was released in 97, as I said. In 98, it was awarded the PlayStation Game of the Year by Electronic Gaming Monthly, and it was also ranked 4th place on their list of the 100 greatest games of all time, and was the highest rated PS1 game. And during the game's release in 97, the console video gaming market was trending towards 3D graphics. Now I'm reading out of Wikipedia, so I apologize if it sounds like shit. The powerful new hardware and 5th-generation consoles enabled well-established gaming franchises such as Mario and The Legend of Zelda to receive highly successful 3D installments, and 2D games began to decline in favor with publishers because they speculated that they would no longer sell. Although it received limited funding for its North America production and was initially not a major financial success, Castlevania Symphony of the Night eventually was a critical success, and the game later joined other popular PlayStation titles as part of their greatest hits line of re-released best-selling PlayStation games. This is basically the thing that let 2D games survive this era.
Yeah, it came late in the life cycle of 2D games, and really everyone was kind of on the death of 2D games, and it showed that you could still do that. Like, a really good 2D platformer still worked.
Which is good for me, because whenever I fooled around with an N64 that was in a store with, was it Mario 64?
Yeah.
I always just ran into like puddles and walls and all sorts
God,
of shit.
whoever designed the N64, like, controller should be taken out back and beaten to death. It has 3 handles. You don't have 3 hands. Anyway.
You just use your dick on the middle one.
Like, it doesn't make, like, oh, you move your hand. Why not just put all the buttons conveniently located? Like, here we are.
So you want to talk a little bit about the story of the game?
Yeah. If you've played a Castlevania game, or even if you haven't, I'm sure you know the story. Dracula's back. If you didn't play the first one, or if you did, that's the first time it's like, oh man, Dracula. We didn't know it was Dracula, unless you read the back of the box. Every other Castlevania has been, oh shit, Dracula's back. We didn't think he'd come back. Well, he back. Oh, it turns out there was like a prophecy that he'd be back in 100 years. Well, maybe that would have been useful to know. I could have been standing here when he stood up 99 years and 364 days later and just restaked that bitch. Like, why you gotta tell me after he's back that there was a prophecy? Just tell me ahead of time, man. I can be ready. My grandkid, I'll train him. He'll be standing there, just ready to go. Steak, back to sleep, 100 years. Do it again. Do it again. Feels like the best way to go here. But anyway, if you had apparently never played a Castlevania, it's like, surprise, motherfucker, Dracula. And then, big surprise, middle of the game, oh, Richter Belmont's there. The fuck are you doing here? Weren't you dead? You came in the castle last time and disappeared. Oh, shit. He evil. Oh, your head go explode. He evil. And then you play as a character named Alucard, which I'm sure most of you know by now is just Dracula backwards. So, shock fucking shock. He just Dracula's son. Oh, what?
I never caught that until you said it.
Really? You didn't know Alucard backward is Dracula?
No,
That's amazing.
I even have a buddy online who goes by the handle Alucard.
That's just Dracula backwards. They were not very fucking clever. So it's supposed to, and he could turn into a bat and shit, and then it's supposed to be like, oh, you didn't know. He Dracula's son. Motherfucker, you spelled it backwards and he turns into a bat. Yeah, no, I figured it out. That's the whole story. Some people show up. I forget her name. Maria, I think I want to say. She shows up and is like, hey, I'm looking for Richter. I think he's in the castle. There's a way to not kill Richter. You have to do like a whole thing. You gotta get a couple items. It's like a secret. But so you don't have to kill him when you kill him. You fight him as a boss. And then that's the good ending of the game if you don't kill Richter Belmont. If you kill Richter, then you gotta fight Maria. And then that's the bad ending of the game.
Yeah, I got the worst ending because I didn't have a clue what I was doing.
There's a couple items, I forget where they are, but you have to get creative and get a couple items. And you have to kill, I forget the guy's name, but he's the guy controlling Richter. It's not Dracula, it's, he's a cultist, and you have to fight him before you fight Richter, I believe, to, like, release him from Richter's control.
Okay.
And then, like I said, there's a couple items you have to do to get there, and you gotta make sure you don't fight Richter, who's, like, right in the path. You can go around his room, but you have to know not to go in there. Because it's got, like, 3 different entrances. And if you just accidentally fall in there, you get kind of screwed. So,
all right.
Good game.
Yeah, excellent game.
Good story.
One of the things about the story is the way it plays out. Like, it's obviously very Japanese in the translation.
Oh, yeah.
And the story parts that are, the like in-game movies are just kind of terrible.
Yeah,
but it doesn't matter because the rest of the game is so
great.
good.
And then, like I said, the story doesn't make a ton of sense. Like, you gotta. I mean, what more do you need? You gotta kill Dracula. He back.
Yep, that's it. So the gameplay in this it's pretty damn good. It's a lot like other 2D side-scrolling beat-em-ups. You run to the side of the screen, you beat monsters as you go. One thing that surprised me is, while you start out as Richter playing the last level of Bloodlines, and you have a whip and you do all the normal Castlevania stuff. When you're playing as Alucard, you have a sword. And there's other weapons you can get along the way, but you never really get back to having a whip that I got to see.
I think there is some whips in the game that you can get. There's also a secret mode where you can play as Richter. You have to beat the game, I think, 100%, like the 200.6. I can't remember if that's true or not. But if you beat the game with a good ending and start a new game with Richter as your name, you can play the game as Richter, which they didn't change the story or anything, so that doesn't make a ton of sense. Like, you fight yourself, but you can straight up play the whole game as Richter Belmont.
Well, that's cool. At least that's in there. but it has, it's a side-scrolling video, but it has some really good RPG elements. You get different weapons, you upgrade them. There's potions, there's food.
Oh shit! I just remembered the guy's name, the cultist, and I don't know how I forgot this because it's amazing. His name is Shaft. For no reason, he is the Dark Priest of Dracula, and his name is Shaft.
And you can get sunglasses in this game.
So good. Oh shit! Forgot all
Shaft!
about that. Shaft.
He's
a bad
motherfucker.
Dracula.
So this is where the Vania part of Metroidvania comes in. So Metroid, obviously, the first Metroid and Super Metroid were gated with items, just like every Metroid game has been. But Castlevania didn't adopt that until this version, Symphony of the Night. So that created that whole new slogan that everyone loves. These games, I don't think there's a Metroidvania game I don't like. I just love the idea of them.
They also roll out the trope where you start the game as Alucard, with all of your gear, like the best, like you're a badass, right? Like, and then the first time you face death, he's like, "Ho, you don't get to keep that," and he takes all of your items and your magic abilities somehow.
Yeah,
you have to find them. Like, you get the ability to turn into a wolf. You get the ability to turn into a bat and mist. There's actually a full-on RPG element. Like, there's a whole thing. Good.
There's a lot of good stuff in there, which surprised me how much there was. There's actually an in-game map too, which surprised me. It doesn't, like you were saying, it doesn't have every spot on it, but the fact that there was one was new to me as far as go.
And you could tell based on the outline, like what rooms you hadn't explored. It didn't necessarily show you secret rooms, but showed you like where you needed to go, and it wouldn't tell you like the new boss is up here, but you would see one part of the castle you hadn't explored. So you'd be like, oh shit, I gotta go back up there. And that has extended all the way, even the one I just played, the Mirror of Fate, has the same map. And you can actually make notes on it with the stylus, which is pretty neat.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you mentioned 200%. So what do you gotta do to get over 100%?
200.6. So when you get halfway through the game, you think it's the end, right? And it turns out that because of magic, there's actually two castles that are linked by the bell tower. There's a castle and what they call the inverted castle, and 100% of the game is down, and it's actually like 99.6% of the game is the bottom castle, and the other 100.7 or whatever it is the top half of the castle. And some of the bosses, not all the bosses, but some of the bosses actually have a harder version in the inverted castle. Like you fight some of the bosses twice. It's only like 2 or 3, but it's like a whole thing. Like
so.
You think you're done, and it's like, nah, man, and then you got to go do the.
Do you remember how to unlock that?
You have to. It's part of the story. Like you have to beat. I think it's the first time you fight Dracula. He like leaves. So you fight somebody, and then right past his room is the bell tower, and you have to have gotten the bat to get up there. Which I think you can't get till you beat that boss. So you go to the next room, you see a shaft that goes like straight up. And then you have to go back and get the bat if you haven't, and then come back and then fly up the shaft, and it opens up the whole second castle.
Oh, okay. So it had nothing to do with the gold and silver rings.
No. Yeah. No, I think that's Richter. I think that's part of the stuff with Richter.
I got rid of those, not knowing I was supposed to keep them.
Yeah, those I'm pretty sure are for the good ending with Richter, the rings. Because you can't fuck yourself with the game. Like, you can't not progress. They don't let you get rid of any items you need. So those items I'm like 90% sure are to fight Shaft. I think if you have both rings and you find Maria, she'll point you to where Shaft is, and then you beat him. So when you go in to fight Richter, you don't fight him. He's just like, yo, you freed me. Cool.
All right, so what did you think of the music and sound effects in this game?
I mean, once you get to PS1, the music and sound effects are kind of what we recognize as music now. Before the PS1, it was all 8-bit and 16. This is just straight up music, like MP3s recorded onto a CD.
Yep.
The compression rate's not great because you also had to fit a whole game on there. Or I think this was only 1 disc. It might have been 2. It's been a long time since I played the original. I played this on the Xbox One. Because they released it on 360, and I had already paid for it, and now they recently made it backwards compatible. Well, not recently now. Recently, after the last episode, they had just made it backwards compatible, so I just played it on the Xbox One.
I played through an emulator, and so everything was loaded up in one file. I didn't have to do any like disk changing or anything like that.
You don't have to, but there are multiple discs because I remember it switching discs. It's, quote unquote, it tells you like switching to disc 2, but it's not actually doing it.
Okay, is that what happens in those rooms? They're like nothing in them. They're labeled CD.
Those are. If you look, there's like a little CD picture, and it shows two CDs on it. Yeah, it literally makes it's changing. Like when you walk to that room, if you didn't have a version that played, it would literally tell you like switch the disc because parts of the castle were on one disc or two. I think there are only 2 discs.
Man, that'd be really annoying.
Yeah, it wasn't great, but it was a limitation. But anyway, the music is amazing. It's very atmospheric. It's all dark and moody and gothic. It's like perfect.
It is perfect.
Music.
I really like the main adventure theme that's in there.
A lot of the boss fights are reduxes of the area around them, which is neat. With a little more upbeat or downbeat or scary. Or they do a really good job with the music. The only complaint I can level against it is that because it's all depressing as shit, because of the theming. You never get like uplifting music. It's all like burr, burr, burr.
It's not like we're playing DuckTales.
Right? It's like listening to death metal for 3 hours. By the time you get to like hour 3, you want to kill people. Like it's a mood setter. So that's my only real complaint, but that's not really a complaint. The game's amazing. The music's amazing. It sounds great. The boss fight music, it actually, I don't know if it's on purpose or not, but a lot of the times the beat helps you with their attacks.
Oh, really? I didn't even notice that.
I don't know if it's on purpose. It's just something I noticed when I was playing. Like, if I played to the beat, I had a better chance. Especially the flying bosses, which are the worst.
Yeah.
Hardest, I guess. Because you can't fly, obviously. You can turn into a bat, but that's not...
You can't do anything while you're a bat.
Yeah, you're just a fucking bat. Yeah, that's like the one complaint, I guess, is that sometimes it's a little too atmospheric. That's a good thing. Like, I'm digging for a dig at this, and I can't find one. It's great.
So the best parts of this game are obviously the gameplay itself. Aside from one small thing, the jumping kind of sucks.
Yeah, it's not as tight as a Mega Man game, which is a little upsetting.
Well, nothing is, but...
Yeah. There's a couple, and that only comes up in like 2 spots, where mostly outdoor stuff where you're jumping from one stair to another with a break in the middle. Because if you fall, you have like... If you don't have the bat yet, you have like a huge backtrack to go around, back, and up the stairs to get to back where the break is. And, it's a pixel-perfect jump. Like, you have to jump the exact right spot to make it across. Most of those become trivial once you get the bat. So it's not... It's a complaint because you need to do some of them before you get the bat, but it quickly falls away once you can traverse. Because once you get the bat in the mist, you can kind of fly wherever you want, which makes that a little obsolete. But it is super frustrating. I probably fell on those stairs like 15 times.
Yeah, those are the types of things that'll make me throw a fucking controller, man.
And there are a few, like there's the bell tower, where it's just constantly the Medusa heads are flowing through it. Mm-hmm. Like constantly, and if you get hit by one, it's almost like you're done. Like it'll knock you into if you don't fall down when it hits you, if you get stuck in a thing, they're repetitive, so they keep flying across, and they'll just literally keep knocking you over and over until you die, which is kind of obnoxious.
Yeah,
it doesn't happen.
Medusa
a ton,
heads are the worst.
Yeah, they suck. And they turn you. Well, the trick is they turn you to stone, and then they keep flying by and hitting you, and you have to wiggle the stick to like break out of the stone. So you normally take a few hits. It's not ideal, but small blemishes.
So the only other problem with this game is the intro video is fucking garbage.
The ending video is no better.
No, it's not. But it's PS1 video garbage.
Yeah, it's hard to make sense. It's a muddy mess. It's hard to tell what's happening.
But it had to be cool as hell back in the day.
Oh, yeah. Like, it's like the first time you watch the Final Fantasy VII cutscene, you're like, oh my god! You watch it now and you're like, what is happening? Is he jumping? Is he having sex with that black man? Like, what is actually happening in this cutscene? Why does he have a dildo for a hand? Oh, it's a machine gun. Like... Yeah,
it's like when I first played Tomcat Alley. It was the first game I played on the Sega CD.
Oh, with the live action like FMVs.
Got lied. Yeah, exactly.
They're so bad. I love that game though. It's terrible.
It's a fun game, but the FMV part of it's just terrible. Like Sewer Shark. It's just like, what is going on?
Well, all of those Sega CD games are just essentially Dragon's Lair you're pressing DVD buttons.
Not all of them, but a lot of
But
them.
most of them. Like Sewer Shark is just left or right, basically. Like, do you turn left, you turn right. And it's just dumb fucking luck. Like, it's literally repetition. Oh, I went right and died. I go left.
12,
go left or right again.
3,
I turn
9er.
Yeah. So you literally you're just memorizing by death the path to take. And yeah, you shoot a couple things. But, like, shooting the thing is essentially turning left. If you don't hit the button, like, you're aiming, but you're not really. And when you hit the button, if you kill it, it's like, oh, then you turn left, basically. It's just Dragon's Lair.
Yeah.
Do you remember Night Trap, the game they pulled off the shelves because there was, like, boobies in it?
I never got to play it, but I have heard about it.
Yeah, you can't even find a booby version anymore. And the boobies were very, like...
pixelated garbage.
Yeah, you're not seeing boobies. Like, what is this? Like, why would you... yeah, whatever.
You got better boobs on... bad analog cable.
Right? Like, you just watch the blurring. You're like, oh, saw a nip.
Yeah, it was a nipple. I'm pretty sure.
Way
I'm
nips.
Done. So, how'd you like this game overall?
As I wrote, fucking epic as shit, 10 out of 10 would have sex with. I love this game. This marks the, like, probably 6th time I've played this game. I played it on the PS1. I played it on Xbox. I played it on... PS2 as part of like a compilation disc or whatever. I played it on Xbox One, and I know I at least played it on my computer once because I'm pretty sure I own it on like Steam or something or Good Old Games. Yeah, I love this game. It's amazing. The RPG elements really keep you hooked because you can play through it again with a completely different weapon and shield and armor. So, and each weapon attacks a little differently. And some of them, so the one complaint you can level at the game is there are a few weapons, like the Chrysogem, which are overpowered as fuck. The Chrysogem, if you get that, and it's a drop from a monster, a random drop, so you have to farm it if you want it. It never drops the first time. So unless you know about it, the chances of you getting it on a playthrough are pretty slim. Once you get it, when you swing it, it swings like 8 swords. Like,
holy crap!
In like this huge like block like in front of you, and in almost any boss that's human shaped, it stuns and pushes in a corner. So you can just walk into a corner and just straight murder bosses. Like there's some bosses it doesn't work with, but it does so much damage that's almost irrelevant. Like you kill stuff so fast. It's kind of like cheating. I used it in this playthrough just because I've played this game so many times that I was like, all right, I'm just gonna power through it. You get the Chrysogem, and once you get it, it's murder. It's unfair. It's not balanced at all, and it should be a knock against the game. But to me, it's actually a bonus because once you've played it, and using it's like I said earlier, I think before we started, maybe if you want to play with God mode, that's your business. I already beat the game 6 times. If I want to play through it the 7th time with an overpowered weapon, that's just fun. Like I just get to go do kind of not worry about death and just kind of do my thing. I don't think that's a knock against an RPG. If everything's unbalanced, that's one thing. But I'm pretty sure they clearly put this in there on purpose as kind of like a hidden little, like, all right, you want like to be overpowered? Here you go. Which I think is cool. I think it's a bonus, not a negative. So I love it. Love this game. Probably my favorite PS1 game of all time.
I can't say I've played another that I've liked. So yeah, I would have to go with that. I gave it a 9 out of 10 myself. Same rating as Super Metroid, just as good. Combat or the motion's a little off in this one compared to Super Metroid, but I don't have to worry about that terrible wall jump either.
Yeah. So. There actually is a weird wall jump, but you don't really need it because again, once you get the bat and the only time I had problems is there's a jump that you can do where you press up, down, up, and you like jump straight up and you'll hit the ceiling, like no matter how high it is. Basically, it'll go up like multiple screens. But it's only ever used for secrets. You don't actually need it to get anything. So it's a special ability you find, and then you can use it to like skip some items. Like you might not need the bat quite as early or the mist or stuff. But you don't have to use it, I think, in more than maybe one spot. I think there might be one right after you get it where you have to use it. But it's mostly just used to find secrets, which I think is neat.
That is cool. So that leads us to our last little bits. Can you emulate this on PC? The answer is yes. That's where I played it. I have it loaded in RetroArch, which I've mentioned before. It's a multi-system emulator that you download cores, and so like I do all my emulation through it now. And the only hard part about this is after the Sega CD and basically anything that ran with a CD, you need BIOS files for the original OS on the systems. So I had to go
so that it knows how to run it.
Right, so I had to go find all that stuff for the PlayStation 1 before, I had the game, but I had to find all that stuff to get it to work. Well, excuse me, once I did, it ran great. There were a couple of settings I had to adjust so it ran right, because it was, at one point it was very laggy. But once I got everything tweaked, game ran smooth as hell.
I played it, I bought the downloadable version on the Xbox 360 forever ago. I played it on Xbox One. That version's great. It doesn't extend the screen or anything, so it's just got bars down the screen. Which yours, I don't know how do you have anything that gets rid of those, or?
I think it artificially stretches it for me. Okay. No, actually, I played in a window, so I didn't have to worry about it.
So when you play it on the Xbox, they literally they block your screen to 4:3, so that it looks like it did, because they don't want to. It's a platforming game, which when you stretch it, it makes it a little harder. Because everything doesn't quite work. So I don't recommend, if you do emulate it, find a way to play in 4:3, either with a window or shrinking it or whatever it takes to do that. Make sure you do that, because it will not play right if you expand it. And you can get this game on if there's a version on PS1, there's a version on PS2, there's a version on PS4, there's a version on Xbox 360 which is backwards compatible. Pretty sure there's a PS3 version that I'm not thinking of at the moment. Emulator, you can put it on a main cabinet if you're feeling froggy. Like, there's no way you can. This game exists in every form or fashion. Whether you want to buy it, play it for free. I mean, the Xbox 360 version is like $4 or something. I think the Steam version is like $1.50 or something.
Yeah, just find it and buy it. It's worth your money no matter the cost.
The game is great. If you want to emulate it, feel free. It's so cheap that I recommend just buying it, because you don't have to deal with everything. But it's up to you.
Yeah, the only reason I didn't buy it is I was in my year of not buying games at the time.
Yeah, some games are still prohibitively expensive for some reason, like old games, but this is not one of them.
So, there was one other thing I wanted to mention in this game. The monster designs are fucking amazing.
Yeah.
There are some really cool monsters in this game.
I don't know if you got to Olrox, did you? He's like a big green, like, lizardy man.
I think I did. Did he breathe fire?
Yeah.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it's coming up in our video right up here.
Oh, nice.
So if you're watching on the stream, you're going to see him in a second. He was tough.
Yeah, there's like this boss that's made of ravens and like shoots ravens at you and has like raven wings. There's this green monster. There's a Medusa, is like a straight up Medusa.
There was a blade, like 8 swords in a kind of chandelier.
Like float,
I guess,
kind of.
Yeah, that was really cool monster.
Oh,
you didn't even have to beat. You could just bypass that.
I don't think we mentioned it, but you can actually beat this game. I mean, you got to get creative, and there's people who show you how. But you can beat this game only beating 5 or 6 bosses or something. Like,
that's crazy.
You don't actually need to beat a lot of them. There's human bosses. You fight Richter, and you can fight Maria. Dracula, when you get to him, actually has multiple forms. One of them is human-y. One of them is like a big bat, and then one of them is this weird, like super demon thing that takes up 99% of the screen, and you basically run under him back and forth. There's this weird wingless pterodactyl with a spear that you fight. Is one of the first bosses.
I know what you're talking about. There's the guy with the spear, the skeleton with the spear, and he's being carried by a big blue guy with wings. He's like the first boss.
Yeah, it drops him down.
Yeah.
You fight this it's a Cerberus, but it's got 2 dog heads and then a lady sitting on top of the dog heads.
Yeah, that was weird.
They got really weird with it. There's a werewolf boss. There's a succubus boss. I'm trying to remember what else there is. There's a big ass bird. There's actually a giant vampire bat you have to fight. You fight Cerberus itself at some point.
Mm-hmm.
You fight what is essentially Frankenstein with a mallet, like a big mallet. You actually fight yourself in one fight, a dark version of yourself or whatever. You actually fight him twice. The bird you mentioned that drops the guy with the spear, you fight that guy twice. 2 different versions of him, I guess. And then, Dracula has 3 forms, that's right. The third one is so the first one is a dude, just Dracula. The second one's this giant werewolf thing with horns. It's mixes all of his forms, he's a little bit of bat, a little bit of wolf. He's huge. And then the third form is this it's just wings and arms that take up the whole screen and 3 heads, I guess. I don't really know what they are. They look like heads because they got mouths. And Dracula's kind of in there, just Dracula in the background. But sprouting out of his side is just a ton of shit, giant enormous arms and stuff. when you fight the Richter Belmont fight, you actually fight like 3 dudes at once before you fight him, like 3 humans.
Yeah,
which
that
is
was
neat.
tough.
And then you fight one thing that's just like a huge floating ball of corpses.
That was awesome fight. I forgot about that one.
Yeah, as you
that
fight
was
him,
so tough.
the corpses fall off of him, and he literally gets smaller, but he does more attacks the more you like shrink him. And you get to like the core in the center of him. And then the hardest boss I had trouble with until I just went and used this is when I decided to go farm the Chrysogem. So I was fighting Beelzebub, who is essentially a giant corpse. Like, you stand like ankle high, but he's clearly like dead, and he's hooked in like 6 places, and he doesn't move, but he like shoots flies and shit at you.
I don't know if I got to that one.
Yeah, it's super weird. It's like like I said, it's like hanging from hooks on a ceiling. And it's clearly dead, but like moans and like shoots fire and like bees and shit. When you get the Chrysogem, it's like a 10-second fight. You're just like, and he just dies. But like flesh falls off of him as you fight him, and he actually gets like, if you hit just his legs, he gets harder to hit because then you got to go up a level. It's got like all the boss rooms are basically the same. They're a large arena with multiple platforms and what is essentially 3 levels to the fight. The base level, the level that's just below the top of the screen, and then if you jump up again, you go up a screen, the screen will move up, and you're on the top level. So when you fall, the screen immediately shifts down. Most of the boss, not all of them, but most boss fights take place in either a 2-tiered room, it's all on one screen, or a 3-tiered room that moves up and down as you traverse the platforms.
Yeah, that like the corpse boss does that.
Yes. It can be a little jarring at first because it doesn't really. It moves with you, kind of, but it sometimes is a little slow. And I've jumped up before and jumped into an attack because I couldn't see it. But it's not, like I said, it happened like maybe once. And you should be able to see him do the attack. If you extrapolate where it's going to end up, you should be able to dodge it because he'll be on the screen.
Yeah,
it'll go
figure it
up.
out after a little while.
Yeah.
All right, sir. That about does it for us.
Oh, there's also a mummy. Don't forget the mummy.
The mummy.
It's like Asmodan or Akmodan or Almodan.
I want my mummy.
Something. He's just a straight up mummy. Like, he's in a sarcophagus and everything. They were like, they put everything in here. Like, there's the Frankenstein is called the Creature, by the way. And it's like, it's just like Frankenstein. And then there's just a mummy. They don't even explain why it's there. You walk into a room, a sarcophagus opens, and you just start fighting a mummy.
Can we talk about how much of a pain in the ass the library books can be?
Yeah, the library books, any of the flying enemies, library books, and the Medusa heads.
Medusa heads, yeah.
Because they wiggle as they go, and they're hard to judge where they're going to be. And if you have a small weapon, like a sword, once you get like a big weapon, like a Chrysogem or a broadsword that does the overhand chop, they're a little easier to deal with. But when you just have like the stab forward, it's hard to deal with. I actually carried around a second weapon for it.
All right, sir.
You do fight death. You fight death in every Castlevania game.
I got one more thing to tell you about Castlevania that's kind of embarrassing.
Uh-oh.
So I may have told you this before, but so Castlevania 2, the first time I got to Dracula, it was because I had a code that gave me all the stuff.
Yeah.
So then it was just a matter of knowing the right direction to go to get to him. So I show up and I walk into I get to his castle, I walk through the castle, I get to his room, and so you're this tiny Simon Belmont, maybe 10 pixels high. I don't know. Dracula takes up 80% of the room. I literally freaked out as a little kid and powered off the NES. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yep.
That game was terrible.
I liked it. I then turned it back on and redid everything and beat it that same day, but it scared the hell out of me. So, anyway, that's all I got.
That's pretty great, though. I like that.
Yeah. All right, folks, you can find us at returntotheretro.com. We're on iTunes as Return to the Retro, and, of course, Twitter at Return Retro. You can also find me on Twitter at Randark_CGC, and Ervik is a nomad. He does not do social media, so you won't find him anywhere.
Internet hermit.
But I hope you enjoyed the show. We'll be back. Quickly, plug what our next game is. Do you remember?
No, I don't.
It's Shining Force RPG for the Sega Genesis.
Don't you turn into like a werewolf or shit, or am I thinking of something else?
I have no clue. I haven't played it yet.
I think I'm thinking of Altered Beast.
Altered Beast, you turn into a werewolf, a dragon, a bear, and I think that's it.
Pretty sure I'm thinking of Altered Beast then.
Altered Beast is awesome. I love that game.
That game is great. What kid doesn't want to be a dragon?
Right? You get to turn into a dragon and then you shoot lightning out of your mouth.
Yeah.
Because they already gave fire to the werewolf.
For reasons, I don't know, man. He needed
Reasons,
a thing.
It might have something to do with Greek mythology because you're actually
Pretty sure werewolves never shot fire.
you're actually raised from the grave by Zeus.
Yeah.
So the whole thing's based in Greece.
you start in a graveyard, I remember.
Rise from your grave.
And the whole screen shakes. Yeah.
Yep.
The game's great.
It is
But we're not now. I'm bummed because we're not playing that game. I'm gonna play that game by myself.
Just load it up, man.
I probably will.
Play the
pretty sure
arcade
I own
version
it.
though, because it's much better than the Genesis version.
I think I own the Genesis version. I don't know if I've ever played the arcade version.
Really? Okay. Next time you're in New York, we're gonna play in the cabinet here. We'll play all the way through.
Excellent. I do got to visit you soon. I got to see the new house.
Yeah, we gotta get down there as well. But
Yeah, we have Disneyland down here, or Disney World. Disney World. So
Disney
come on
World
down.
down there.
It's, Volcano Bay is going to be open over at Universal soon.
ooh,
You can go in the new water park with a big ass volcano in the middle. We got that Harry Potter shit in the Universal.
yeah, I got to do the new Harry Potter stuff over.
I
there. haven't done it since they
actually
expanded it.
still haven't done the new stuff.
Really?
Yeah, and I can go for free. All my friends work there, so it's weird. Like I could just go and I just don't.
Pathetic.
I should. I mean, it's not like I don't like it, motherfucker. I love Harry Potter. I will
Chelsea
go hang.
was actually doing. My wife is doing a Harry Potter marathon today.
Nice.
Over the last 3 weeks, we've watched all of the, except for Doctor Strange because it wasn't out yet. We've watched every one of the Marvel MCU movies.
Which, all right, quick. Don't think about it too much. Which one's the best?
The best is Captain America 2.
Yeah, it is.
It's my favorite.
Winter Soldier. Look, that's my favorite too. That's how you know.
And then Guardians of the Galaxy, and then the Avengers, and then the original Iron Man.
Mine is exactly the same, except I flipped Guardians and the original Avengers.
You like the Avengers more?
Yeah, I think Guardians is almost a perfect film, but Avengers did something I didn't think was possible and made an ensemble movie work.
With nobodies. Well,
exactly,
not quite
like,
nobodies, but mostly nobodies.
Like, it made every character felt fleshed out. Like, it actually held such a high bar that I think Avengers 2 suffered because they didn't do quite as good a job at fleshing out all the characters.
See, I really like Avengers 2 as well.
I do too. It's down my list, but I like it more than most people.
Yeah, I'm the same way. All right, we've extended this show for way too long.
You can cut it
now.
out. Cut that part out. We'll talk about that later.
No, I'm gonna include it because it's cool. But
All right.
we're at an hour and 20 minutes. So,
Yeah, that's a long show.
all right, sir. I will catch you next time.
All right, man. Take it easy.
Bye.
Bye, Ervik. It's